Welcome to the ITZINU podcast by Renae Elliott. I'm here to help you find your balance and live your best life guilt-free. I don't believe there's a one-size-fits-all approach for health and fitness. We're all different and we need to find out what works for us. I'm passionate about helping women make realistic, long-term lifestyle changes that they will stick to and they'll be able to take with them forever. I don't believe in crazy diets or short-term fixes. We all need to find a life and a balance that suits our individual needs. I believe we need to dig deeper and work on our mindset first so we can be prepared to face any hurdle throughout your wellness journey. I'm here to give you the confidence and knowledge to do so. So welcome to the ITZINU podcast by Renae Elliott, because it is in you.
Hello, and welcome back to the ITZINU podcast. So today I want to talk about the latest program that I am bringing out, which is called Mind Over Muscle. I want to talk to you about why I developed this program and how it came all about to me. So we've had a really busy few weeks. On the weekend just passed, it was my husband's birthday. We had a big party because it was his 50th. And you know, the thing is, it's actually taken me a week to recover, and that's probably more from the lack of sleep. But it's probably also coming down from the organising of it and and I do surprise myself in that. How long it's actually taken me to recover from the birthday, because we had a late night. I normally am in bed by 9 o'clock. I was up till 2 a.m., which we had a great time, but then the next day, there was cleaning up and everything else, and that was his actual birthday, so there was more celebrations on. So it was a really, really big weekend. We had friends come over from interstate. So it's actually taken me all week to really recover from that one weekend, but that interests me, and I've spent this week really thinking about self-care routine and making sure that I am looking after myself, because more tired and the older I get, the more I get to know myself, or the more I've started to become aware of what's best for me and what's best for my body, and I'm able to adapt things that suit. So in my circumstances, I want to be asleep by 9, or in my bed, aiming to go to sleep by 9 o'clock. So that's kind of my goal, because I get up at 4, and I know that I always feel better when I get that early night, when I'm in bed by that time. If I stay up too much later, I just feel really crappy and tired. So I've been kind of prioritizing that this week. I have been prioritizing more gentler exercise, because I do feel really tired. So I'm not going to thrash my body about. And this is what I, and some people get surprised when I say this, because I am a personal trainer. I'm not always go. And I tweak things every day or every week. I tweak to how my body feels, and I do choose. There's some times that I'm more energetic and I know I can be in tune with that, and there's other times that I know I need to rest and or do more gentler exercise, and that's fine. I adapt and I tune into that too. I've also been I did bit of an experiment with some food, and I'd seen somewhere online on this person that had been making food up, and they decided to make food up. When they bought their food home, like with fresh veggies and everything else, they prepped the food, but they prepped like the whole meal, but didn't cook it. So it's obviously got to be food that you can put in the slow cooker. So I did this 2 weeks ago. So I put all the food into Ziploc bags. The person that I saw had a bag that you obviously can reuse. I know my personality, and it's amazing that people do that, but that's not going to work for me, because I'm not going to want to wash and clean the bag out. I got Ziploc bag, big, large, extra large kind of Ziploc bags. I got the food in, and then I made up the meal. So I made up like a bolognese. I made up a butter chicken, which my kids eat. I did a meatball dish. I did honey soy chicken, and I did a different type of chicken saucy dish that I know my kids like too. So I made all of them up the day that I bought all the fresh veggies, and I put them all in the freezer. So I put the meal in, I put all like the whole meal in, the veggies, the meat, whatever else, all the spices, all of that stuff. And then I've left it. So then I use the food that I've had in my fridge, but I also knew I had five dinner meals already in the freezer. Then put them. So this was the first week of me using them, and it worked amazing. So, so at the moment that's going to work for me. So what I then did is I had that freezer meal in the morning. I just took it out and I put it in the slow cooker, and then I got on with my day. And, all I needed to do was add in like rice or pasta or whatever. I did quinoa to one dish. And so actually I'm really impressed with it. It has saved me a lot of time, and we have had really easy meals. There's less cleanup, all of the other stuff. So that was my kind of win for the week. And this was just an experiment. So if you are looking to do something like that, I would highly recommend that idea. But the meals just have to be things that I think you could put in the slow cooker. Because I literally just put open the bag, put the contents into the slow cooker and let the slow cooker do the work. So anyway, so why am I telling you all of this stuff? This is how I reassess my life. So our life changes. Our life changes constantly. Different things affect us, and, things come and we don't expect it. And you do have to tweak and change your life to suit what's currently going on. And I'm always looking for ways. Over time, I've learned what foods work for us, what foods don't. If I'm busy, I know I want good nutrition to fuel me, because it's always going to make me feel better. But when I'm busy and I'm time poor, if I'm not organized enough, I'm going to go for whatever's quick. And whatever is quick is generally like toast or something like that. And that doesn't fuel my body or end up, in the end, it makes me feel crappy. But that's why I prioritize prepping food and being organized. But this new prepping way that I've tried out the last couple of weeks is actually pretty amazing. So I am going to continue with that. As a personal trainer, so I've been a personal trainer for over 12 years, and I've trained lots of people, and I watch people go through, they'll come in and they'll want to lose weight or something else. And they might lose weight initially, or they might come in and they'll say, I want to do this. And I heard my friend, she lost weight doing the keto diet, so I'm going to do the keto diet. Or she lost weight doing intermittent fasting, so I'm going to fast. Is that okay? And my question is, do you like fasting? Does that actually work for you? Are you doing it because you like it, or are you doing it because your friend did it? And what I find is people that are jumping into things because they're wanting this quick fix. And I understand wanting a quick fix, because we all do. If there was a magic pill we could all take and we'd be the shape we want, it would have already been developed and everyone would have it. I watch people choosing to do these things, and you try to advise and guide everybody, but people don't want to do the work. They don't want to do the work. They don't want to take the longer road. We all want that quick fix. But, the thing to understand is quick fixes don't work. In weight loss or anything else, it doesn't work. And they might work initially, but then you put the weight back on. And you put the weight back on and you end up feeling shitty about yourself. And so the biggest thing I want for everybody is I want them to understand themselves and understand their body enough so that they can make these choices, and it's something that they can stick to for life. So we're not going to just starve ourselves because my friend did it and she lost weight. We're going to choose to fast if you like fasting, because you really like that lifestyle and it works for your body and it makes you feel good. Because if it's that way, then you're more inclined to stick to it forever. But with all the people that I've trained and the different challenges or the different things that I've always run, and the people that have got the long-term results that have been able to keep it off, are the people that have the right mindset. And so my focus now is to help guide you into getting your mindset right for weight loss. And this is really the key, because no matter what diet you choose to do, they will all work if you're in the right mindset. And if you stick to it for long enough, and, they will all work. But the key is choosing the thing that is going to work for you. Understanding yourself enough so then you will make the right choices in what diet is going to work for you to get you the size you want to. And I think by the time you get to 40, most of the people that do my classes are in their late 30s, they're in their late 30s, 40s plus, they're in that type of age bracket. by the time that you get to this age, you've tried a few things. You may have tried a few things. And what I want you to really think about is what things have you tried? And, and really think about, did they work for you? So the thing that happens to me all the time is people come up, they're like, when I was 20, I did this and this worked for me. But the thing is, you're not 20 anymore. And you're not 20 anymore. And your life at 20 is totally different to your life at 40. And so it's really understanding that our life is different now. So what worked for you then isn't going to work now. And we need to let go of that. And we also need to let go of, well, when I was 20, I was this size. You might have been that size, but the factors were different. The factors were different. And, so if I look at myself when I was 20, I weighed, I was in my 60s, right? So maybe 65 or something. But now I weigh a lot heavier than that. So I'm up in the 80 kilo range, right? But I have so much more muscle mass than what I did when I was 20. I'm stronger and faster than what I was when I was 20. So I can't, it's just not comparable. I don't know what my muscle mass was when I was 20 because I didn't look at that stuff. So just stop comparing yourself to when you were then. And let's look at where you are now. In my Mind Over Muscle program, what I want people to do is I want you to start understanding yourself. So we all have some form, by the time that you're 40, I'm using 40 because I've just turned 40. So I'm using 40 as an example because that's the age that I'm in. By the time that you're at 40, we've all been through something of some sort, some form of, we have some form of trauma, some form of, we've created lots of habits. We probably have some things that have given us great joy. We've also had things that have made us quite sad. We have things that have affected our life in some way, okay? So by the time, you can't have got to this age without being through something of some sort. So childbirth, that is a trauma on its own. And then, if we use kids as an example, childbirth is a trauma on its own. Then you look at relating to your working out your life with your husband after you have children. That's something else that you have to, or your partner, sorry, that's something else that you have to work out. There are different things that your kids may have gone through. There is constantly things that affect us in some way. And they affect us in some way, and that carries with us. So if you're at a point where you feel like you've tried everything to lose weight and you can't lose weight and you're feeling like you're stuck and you're like, how come, I'm following this diet to a T and it is not working? Well, I guarantee you that there is some stuff that is holding us back, and it's holding us back. And that's the stuff we need to get to the root cause of this stuff first. And when we get our mindset right and we work on our stresses and we work on our habits and we work on having a good mindset going into any form of diet and making sure that you're choosing the right diet that works for your lifestyle, you will then lose weight. You will lose weight because when it gets difficult, you will not give up. And when you hit a roadblock, you will look at that roadblock and be like, what can I learn for this, and keep moving on. And this is why I've designed this program, because I get so many people that want to jump into weight loss. They want to jump into these quick fixes and they just want to do this thing for a short amount of time. So they want to do it for a short amount of time. And they get to this point that they might think that they're not winning. The weight loss is not coming off quick enough. They're not doing it, so then they give up. But the thing is, when you give up, is you were already there. You were pretty much already there. You were so close. And if you just kept working through that, you would get your result. Because the key to long-term weight loss is just consistency. So the key is choosing something that works for you and understanding your body, how your body works, what are your habits, what are the stories that you're telling yourself, and maybe the stories that you're telling yourself, maybe they're not working for you anymore. Okay, so maybe we need to look at them and we need to change our stories, change what we're telling ourselves, change our perspective on things. And in the Mind Over Muscle program, we work through all of this stuff first. when you work through this stuff, when you hit a hurdle, because, if you are somebody that wants to be a perfectionist and you identify with being a perfectionist, and that, when you identify with all of these things, then you're telling yourself, well, I can't do this because it's not perfect. I tell you to start, number one, recognize that if you are telling yourself that. And then number two, I want you to think about, where did that come from? So where did you start identifying as a perfectionist? And what does that give you, saying that you are a perfectionist? And the thing to start to think about is, life is not perfect. Nothing is perfect. I hit roadblocks all the time, but it's how I work through them. That helps me to continue to moving forward to getting my result. And, I've had to do a lot of work on myself the last 3 or 4 years, and I've done a lot of work on myself. And what the Mind of a Muscle program, it's condensing all that work. So I spent 3 or 4 years working through all this stuff, and I wish I had something like this that could get me through this stuff sooner, that could help me understand myself better, as much as I do understand myself now, and to start to recognize habits. And the other day I had an email came through, or a message from social media came through to me, and the message said something in it, and it really bothered me. And it was someone emailing me, and it really bothered me. And it actually gave me an automatic headache. So I got this automatic, piercing headache. And I was like, so the first thing is, I question myself, is why did this email bother me so much? So why did this message, why did it bother me so much? So I started to question why. So I questioned why this message from this person bothered, why did it affect me that much? I was really surprised how it gave me like one of those really piercing headaches that, I felt like it was right at the front of my forehead, and it was like it was instant, and it put me in an instant bad mood. And the thing from, like I said, I've been learning about myself, but from this point, I came home and I told my husband, I said to my husband, and I said to him about the message that I'd got, and I said, I can't believe how much it's upset me. I said, it's really upset me. And I said, I've got this piercing headache. And I guess the old me, I probably wouldn't have even said anything to him, because I probably wouldn't have even recognized that that's what had happened. The kids, I'd had a busy day also, so I probably would have put it down to having a busy day, being stressed. But I recognized that as soon as I got this message through, it bothered me. And then I thought about it, and I thought, I need to work out why. And so what I ask you to start doing is to start questioning why. Why are you feeling this way? And what did this do? So I questioned, why did this bother me so much? I worked through it, and I was able to come to conclusions as to why it bothered me. And then I was like, okay, so I can recognize that this really bothered me. So it came down to, so the message was from a different trainer saying that he now has one of the clients that I used to have. And he was saying, well, I know a lot about you. I train this person now. And I was training this person, and we have trained, for 6 or so months, and the person didn't lose any weight. And what it came down to is, when I worked this out, I felt like I'd failed him. And that's what I had to work at. I had to work through this. And then this low self-esteem part of me started telling myself that I wasn't good enough, that I wasn't a good trainer, because I couldn't get this person the results. And like I said, it made me feel really crappy. And then I had to work out why. And then, so I realized that this this little low self-esteem part of me was coming back. Or sometimes you're like, gosh, is that coming back? Like, I thought I'd already worked on that. But the thing is that we all have that. But the key is how quickly you recognize it and you work on it. This feeling and working it through lasted an evening, a couple of hours. And by the next morning, I was fine, because I'd worked through it. And I was actually really grateful for it, because I took this as a lesson. To be like, what do I need to learn from this? So this bothers me in some way. And I didn't quite know at the start why. Then I thought it through and I worked out why. And then I had to really question, then I had to really work through it and be like, well, this person, I can give you all the advice in the world and I can guide you, I can tell you, but if you're not willing to listen, then I can't help you anymore, and this person was unfortunately not really willing to listen. And, but I had to work out why it bothered me so much. And once I worked that out, I thought, how can I change this for the future? So how can I change this? And it always makes me a better person. And what I want you to get to the point is when you can recognize that and you can work through it. You can work through it just like what I did. You don't have to go into depression for days. You don't have to, start skyballing onto other stuff about it. You can recognize it, see it as a learning lesson, learn from it, and then move on. And I'm really grateful that I had that experience because it was good to recognize. I changed how I would normally deal with things, as in I went and spoke to my husband first. I spoke to another trainer who had trained the same person. And I was like, why does this bother me so much? And it was interesting to recognize, I know I'm a good trainer. I know I'm really good at what I do. I know that I believe in myself, but it was just interesting to see that this little part of me popped back in. But the key is this part of me did pop in, but I didn't give it I didn't give it too much time of day. I recognized it. I worked and I thought, what can I learn from this? And what can I move on from this? And I did. And what I want you to do and what I will teach you is how we can start doing this, how we can start recognizing, because what I see in lots of people, they might have had something that made them feel sad or something that affected them, and then they turn that into giving up on whatever they're doing. They turn it into maybe binge eating or overeating or under eating. They turn it into stopping what they're doing, maybe not being as active, decreasing your exercise or any of those things. And what I really want for you is I want you to start recognizing the signs, because with people with any type of weight loss that you're looking for, it's when these things happen is when people give up. That's when that happens, is when they give up. And they give up and then they see that, well, they're not good enough, but instead of going, what do I need to learn from this feeling? What can I learn from it? How can I move forward? And that's what I want for you, because, like I said, there's things that is going to affect you. So, another big thing that I had to learn, and I think everybody has a story, everybody has something, is when I was younger, when I was just 18, my parents decided to move. I lived in Adelaide. They decided to move to Queensland. So they decided to move there. It was I just left school. I had my friends. I was partying, whatever else. I didn't want to leave. I didn't want to leave all my friends, and had a job and a really good social life. I didn't want to leave all that. So I decided not to. I decided to stay, and my brother, his new wife, and my younger brother and my mum and dad, they all moved up. And there was lots of things that went on, and it made me really sad. And, anyway, so that was 20 plus years ago, 22 odd years ago. So that's fine. So that had all happened, and it was at that time in my life, it was like, I guess you would class it as the most traumatic thing to happen. I let what people had said to me, like, oh, your parents are leaving you and they're deserting you. And I let all of those things affect how I feel. And, I took all those on, that my parents were deserting me, everything else. So this is just my thing. So I did all that. That's fine. That happened. Anyway, 20 years on, I'm married, got children, got my own beautiful home. I live in Queensland now with my, near my parents, all of that stuff. I didn't really think that stuff was, it doesn't cross my mind anymore. Like when I was 18 odd, it was the biggest part of my life. I'm really close with my family, and like when mum and dad decided to move to Queensland, like I had to move out of home and all of that, and I wasn't like prepared for all of that. So anyway, so that happens. Anyway, so anyway, 20 odd years later, my mum and dad decide that they're moving houses and they're going to build a house. So mum and dad are talking about building this new house of theirs, and they were moving further away from so we live 5 minutes from each other, and they were moving about 25 minutes away from where we live. So mum and dad are talking about this, and they're talking about this house, and I couldn't work out why every time they talked about this moving into the house, I wasn't happy for them. I couldn't work out why it made me feel sick to the stomach every time they started talking about moving house. I didn't want to hear what they were saying. I became really rude and distant to them. And it made me angry, but I actually couldn't work out why. And it took me a really long time to work it out. And then I worked out through time is that them talking about moving made me feel like the same time that they spoke about when they moved from Adelaide to Queensland. So I had to relive through all that stuff. And I had to go through it all again in my head. And I'm older and wiser, and I have children now, and having my own children now, it makes me think differently on how I would act if I was in their situation, but not taking anything away from anything. But it brought up these feelings that I thought I had dealt with, but I hadn't. And it probably took me over a year to process it and work it out. It really did. It took me a year to work it out. And I spent, I distanced myself from my parents. I didn't spend as much time with them. And it just took me so long to connect all the dots and work it out. And because I didn't really talk to anyone or say anything. And then when I finally processed it all myself, and I actually spoke to my mum about it and told her exactly how I felt. And my mum at the same point was wondering, why is she acting this way? Why is my daughter because me and my mum are quite close. So the thing is I just don't want the same to happen to you. I want you to recognize these things, because there will be things that come up that I know that they're significant in your life. So it doesn't matter what people think, whether you think it's a bad enough trauma or a big enough event in your life, it's meaningful to you. And the thing is that these are the things that can be holding you back from really getting to where you want to get to. So these are the things, this year not this recent year, but the year that I was trying to work this stuff out, it affected all other aspects of my life. It runs into runs into your food, socializing, your life with your partner, your kids, all of those things. It affected relationship with my brothers, relationship with my mum. It affected all of them, and I kept it all to myself. Because I didn't understand it and I wasn't sure. What we want to work through is what are these things that are bubbling under the surface? Because sometimes until you sort this stuff out, you will always be on that yo-yo. You will always be on that roundabout. You will always be on that yo-yo diet circle because something happens. So now I understand. I understand how that made me feel. I can talk about it now without getting upset. Where it used to probably get me upset. I can talk about it now without getting upset. I'm okay with, I forgive myself for feeling that way. I forgive, everybody. It is what it was. I have a great relationship with my parents, and, but we had to then start to rebuild that relationship. And what I want for you is whatever the circumstances you've been in, there will be something in some way that will hold you back. And I know it's scary to face it. I know it is scary to come to terms with it, and you think you put it to bed and you haven't. And I had to put all those things to bed. And I had to kind of realize what they were. And once I realized that I had things holding me back, I was like, I am ready to get rid of this all. I'm ready to get rid of this all and work through this all and just get on with my life, because the feelings that I was having, or the belief system, all of those things were holding me back in lots of aspects in my life. In your weight loss journey, I don't want you to be holding on to this stuff anymore. I want you to work through it. I want you to work out how to deal with a roadblock when you hit it, and to not, like if we, what do I see? I see people, they're trying to lose weight and they get on the scale and the scale's gone up, and they then give that scale a meaning that they're hopeless, that it's never going to work, that they're not a good person. But the scale's probably up because you've got your period. The scale could be up because you had chips last night and you're retaining more water. You've not put fat on. The scale weight is just up. It is one piece of data that we need to look at. But people value everything on this one piece of data and then they give up. And when you can understand all aspects and you can really understand all the aspects of weight loss, all the aspects of you and what works for you, then when you hit a roadblock, then you won't give up. You will work through that roadblock and you'll see it as a learning lesson, and that, we all need these lessons and you are going to experience them all. So instead of seeing it as, well, this is my opportunity to give up, I knew I was a failure, I knew I couldn't do it, you are going to be cheering because you've had that lesson, and then you're one step closer to being the ideal body that you want to do and feeling good and confident within yourself. And that is my goal for all of you. It is possible for everybody. And it's just starting to recognize your habits, recognize your thought patterns, recognize how you're feeling. And I really feel that working on your mindset first before you get into any form of weight loss program is the key to long-term weight loss. During this program, there is no focus on what you're eating. There is no focus on what you're eating, no focus on exercise, no focus on your steps or anything like that. All it is doing is starting to look at you. Look at your habits. Keep doing what you're doing. Don't change anything. You don't need to. We don't need to go on a restricted diet. We don't do anything. We just need to start looking at you, looking what's working for you and where you're at. And then from there, we can start creating a plan. We can create a plan that works for you and that works in your lifestyle. And so then you don't give up. And when you hit a roadblock, we work through it. So that is my goal. That is my goal for everybody. So hopefully this has all made sense to you, and maybe if you could take a few minutes to think about, where are you at in your life? Where have you been? What things have you gone through? And is there anything that you think may be holding you back? And I'm a really big believer in trusting your intuition and trusting your gut. And I'm a big believer in my gut because, the first day that I met my husband, we actually knew each other a year or so before we got married. The first date that we went on, the next day we went out for something else together, and we'd actually known each other a year or so beforehand. Maybe 2 years. Anyway, yes, 2 years. So anyway, the first date we went on, the next day we went out to someone's house or something. And my gut was like, this is forever. And I knew from that day that he was my forever. So whenever we go through problems, whenever we have fights or any of those things, which all couples do, I always go back to that day and remember that feeling of that he was my forever. So that's why I truly believe in your gut instinct and believe what your instinct tells you. And over the only just the last few months, I listened to something and it talked about your instinct, and I've started to really tune in more with my instinct, and it served me right up till now. It served me right with my husband and everything else. So I'm just deciding to really tune into that. So whatever the first thing that comes to your mind is, whatever that first thing is when you think about it, what could be the thing that could be holding me back? I want you to investigate it a little bit further. Think about it. Think about whatever that first thing that comes to your mind is, what may be blocking you or might be troubling you. And I want you to just think about it. Think about, how did it make you feel? How does it make you feel now? Is there parts of it that you are still holding on to? Is there parts that are still affecting your life? And if it is, then it's maybe time to start working on letting it go. So the Mind Over Muscle program is going to be opening at the end of the month. So if this is something that you are interested in joining, please make sure that you send me a message and I will add you onto the waiting list. So because for the first round of this, we are only going to take a limited number of people. But I'm super excited to get started and to start showing everybody all the stuff that I've learned, and I know that you will be able to move leaps and bounds once we have worked through this stuff first. So I am going to love yous and leave yous now. Please, if you know anybody that this may resonate with, if this may help them, please make sure that you share the podcast. I share my personal story so that you can see how I've had to work through it, and how hopefully it might resonate with you, that you could start working through your things, but you don't need to take as long as what I did. So I'm here to condense that and to not take you as long as what I did to work through all of my little things that were really, really, truly holding me back. Okay, so I will love you and leave you, and I will speak to you all next week. Bye.
Thanks for listening to the ITZINU podcast. I hope you've been able to find this information of use to you. If you know someone who will benefit from listening to this podcast, please share. Make sure you share it with them so we can continue to spread our message and help empower women to have the bodies that they desire and still enjoy their life too. Make sure that you subscribe to our podcast so that you can be the first to know when a new podcast is released. If you do enjoy this podcast, please take the time to leave a 5-star review. It would be truly appreciated. Leaving reviews is one of the only way to help grow and share my message. If you do so, please make sure you take a screenshot, tag me in it and share it onto any of our socials. And if you send us a DM, I'll be able to send you a free gift straight to your inbox. Remember that you've got this and you can do anything that you set your mind to because it is in you. Much love, Renae.